it's not going to make a difference because it's going to 1 million, then it's going to 10 million, and then it's going to 100 million, and it's not going to stop.
What's up, guys? Obviously not in my office today. We were at Bitcoin 2025 over here in Las Vegas. I'm going to try to find some Bitcoin millionaires and ask them the questions that you guys have been asking me. Let's go see what their answers are.
If you don't mind sharing, what was the first time or maybe the first year you spent Bitcoin? And again, do you regret it?
All right. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Nolan. It's good to see you, man.
Everyone, this is Brian Demint. I've had him on the channel before, saw him here at the conference, and had to get a little bit of more knowledge from him. If you guys remember, he wrote the book Bitcoin Evangelism, which I will have linked to down below. But anyway, Brian, how long have you been in the Bitcoin space?
So I started learning about Bitcoin in 2013, and I came at it from like a very skeptical perspective. It's kind of how I'm a religious guy. I started out as an atheist though, and so I studied religion as a skeptic, and that actually won me over, and I became like a pretty devoted Christian because I thought if I could disprove it, that would mean something. I didn't feel like I could disprove it, and so that same thing happened with Bitcoin. I really set out to just kind of be like, nah, like this sounds stupid. I had a couple friends that were getting into it, so I was studying it, trying to refute the things that they were telling me about it, and in the study of it, I actually grew like a pretty high conviction of it, and that's, that was 2013, and then by 2014, that's the first time that I actually bought Bitcoin, and since then, it's just been off to the races, yeah.
Sweet. And then since then, have you been buying it pretty religiously, like since 2013? Like what does that kind of look like?
That's a great question. So my first buy was just like a chunk of Bitcoin. It wasn't a lot. Like I wish I could have afforded more. I'm an entrepreneur, that's kind of like my main thing, and so all my money was going into my business. But I thought that this was a worthy place to put some of my money, being scarce, and there's only 21 million, and I thought one of the problems with the financial system was unlimited amounts of money, so a money that's capped makes a lot of sense. So I'm like, you know what, let me get a little bit, and I just bought a few, and then just forgot about it, and that was where I messed up. We'll put a round number to it. Say I had like $500 to spend on Bitcoin, and at that time that could buy you a few Bitcoin. That's great, right? Well, I would have been a lot better off if I had just been buying $25 a week or every other week of Bitcoin, rather than just like doing something that hurt at the time, which was get $500 and put it into Bitcoin. It would have been painless to do $25 every other week. I would have had probably about 5 times more Bitcoin had I gone the second way, because that would have been a much more disciplined route to go, and it just, the dollar cost average aspect of it would have gotten me a lot further. I think a lot of people, that's a mistake that we fall into a lot, is, okay, I'm ready to get into Bitcoin, I've got $5,000, let me go. And it's like, no, just buy $500 a month and go from there, or whatever, wherever they're at in terms of their financial space.
Yeah, no, I love that. We talk a lot about dollar cost averaging on this channel, so good stuff, man. So if somebody's totally new to Bitcoin, maybe they're even apprehensive or just, no, I'm not doing Bitcoin. What's one thing that you would say to them? Like, what's the most important thing they need to understand to maybe either start their research, or just that they need to understand to start investing in?
Yeah. I would say that it's the most broadly appealing thing. The thing that's in front of us so much right now is inflation. Everybody feels it, whether it's your gas prices, whether it's your food, or whatever it happens to be. Now, yes, there's micro things that affect that, whether it's tariffs or it's the cost of oil goes up, so then the cost of your eggs go up, right? So there's intermingling things, but the heart of it, and the reason why every society ever faces inflation is because society always goes to a fiat currency, a currency that can't be capped. And I know I mentioned that earlier, but it's just so important. That's why all monies or all currencies ever collapse, is because somebody controls the production of it, and eventually if you had the power to print all of the money in the world, that would corrupt you at some point, and you would just, at some point, that would be how you fix all your problems. Is like, oh, I need to make more money. Well, should I be responsible, or should I just print more money? Yeah. It's like, we would all succumb to this idea that like, well, I'm just gonna print more money to solve that problem. You can't do that forever. There's a diminishing effect, and at a certain point, that actually becomes destructive. So it's like, what's the fix? I would suggest looking into a form of investment that would be a counter to that. Whether that's you're investing in stocks, whether you're investing in gold, whether you're investing in Bitcoin, find something that can't be produced at will by somebody else, and I don't want to be subject to the whim of another person when it comes to my money.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I remember reading about that in your book, so I love that. Okay, so obviously it's an investing channel. Most of my people want to know, how high is Bitcoin going to go? When should we sell?
I firmly believe I would never sell, because I think what's going to happen is you're just going to buy more stuff with Bitcoin than you can buy today. I'm a huge proponent of using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, and I'll tell you what, every Bitcoin I bought has been able to buy me more stuff down the road. So that would be the first thing, is that yes, you will cash out someday, but you're gonna cash out because you're gonna use it and you're gonna buy stuff with it. But how high will it go? Well, right now we're about 1/10 of the market cap of gold. There's almost no precedent for digital things not being at least 2 to 10 times bigger than their analog predecessor. The chairman of the Federal Reserve, he himself, who's like the most anti-Bitcoin guy on the planet, he's even said that Bitcoin is digital gold. And so coming from the mouth of the adversary is, hey, this thing is like gold. Well, if Bitcoin is like digital gold and it's only 2x better than the analog thing in gold, then that puts Bitcoin at about $1.3 million. And I think that happens actually sooner than later. Things tend to move up with scarce assets slowly and then all at once. We think that it happens linearly with scarcity versus something that's infinite like the dollar. We tend to get exponential moves.
I love it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks, Brent. All right, we got Optimus Fields out of Simply Bitcoin here on YouTube. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm actually running on low caffeine, but we're doing good. You know, I'm on like my 8th cup, but hey, we'll manage. We'll make it through.
Low caffeine, high vibes. I like it.
Totally. Yeah. It's literally just not enough caffeine. The vibes are high, but I'm dying.
I like it. All right, man. How long have you been in the Bitcoin space, and how long have you just been investing in Bitcoin?
So basically, right when I found Bitcoin in 2017 is like I just went gung ho. So I heard about Bitcoin probably around like Mt. Gox times, you know, like the first time it blew up. But then when I heard about it in 2017 is when I basically watched a bunch of Andreas Antonopoulos, sat there for like, I watched one video and probably sat there for like 4 hours that night, and it just like clicked. And ever since then, it's like every penny I own that is not going to like bills or whatever is like, it goes in. And I just did the DCA strategy, you know, every week, every couple of weeks, just buy as much as possible. I was like the full degen, like 50% of my paychecks going into it. So, and actually a funny story. So I know you're more like TradFi. A really funny story for me is right like 6 months before I found Bitcoin, I talked to one of my friends, and I was basically, hey, like, you invest in stocks. I know like that's how rich people get rich and stay rich, is I gotta buy stocks. And he's like, basically watch Jim Cramer, go to Charles Schwab, open up a trading account. And I showed up, and this is how little money I had. I showed up and I'm like, hey, I want to open an account. And they were like, all right, cool. Like, how much do you want to invest? And I'm like, $250. They're like, yeah, well, you need $2,500 to even start an account. And I'm like, all right, cool. See you later. Like, I'm a brokey. Got it. And then like 3-4 months later, I found Bitcoin, and I was like, all right, this is the perfect thing for me. And ever since then, just consistently buying as much as possible.
Crazy. So you were buying back then, and then right now, are you still dollar cost averaging? Like,
well, I mean, I'm break even right now on my bills, but yeah, if I say it all the time, if I have dollars, I capitulate my fiat as fast as I can. Because before Bitcoin, I couldn't even save like $300. Like if I had money in my pocket, it's going out.
Yep.
And then something about Bitcoin just clicked for me, where it's like a black hole. Everything I had that went into it, I didn't want to spend it, I didn't want to touch it. You know, I bought all the Bitcoin memes of just like hodl, don't ever sell.
Yep.
And now it's just like, it triggered something where I save in Bitcoin, and like, you know, you build up that nest egg over time.
Yeah.
And it's not a get rich quick scheme, but it's definitely not a get super poor fast scheme. So, you know, you just keep doing it, be consistent, and like now looking back, again, 8 years, I'm like, wow, like it really changed my life. It's really like living the meme.
Sweet, man. Yeah, and since, like you said, we're traditional finance on my channel.
Okay.
So I have a lot more people that are starting to dabble a little bit into Bitcoin. So what would you give them as far as advice? What's one reason why they should invest in Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, not to go full macro, but literally Bitcoin was designed for this moment right now. I'm not like the biggest macro guy. I literally learned about the traditional financial system through the Bitcoin lens, so obviously I'm biased, 100% biased. I tell people that all the time. But what we're seeing right now in the macro markets, the bond markets, Bitcoin was literally designed for this moment, this exact moment in time, and now everyone is catching on to it. Like you said your traditional finance, people that you talk to, they're getting interested in it, and I think this is kind of the tide shifting, the narrative shifting, the culture shifting towards what we're saying, where even if you thought Bitcoin was a scam a couple of years ago, now you're thinking, wow, maybe I should at least try to grab and understand what this is saying or what this is, because it seems to not be going away. So my one advice would literally be, guys, just take the time, look into it, don't get caught up in the shitcoin stuff, because most of that, actually all of that is a scam, and really just give it the time. Like, be open-minded enough to just like, maybe there's something here, because I know like there's a lot to unlearn from traditional finance to get to where we are. Good thing for me, my saving grace is I had no clue about it. You know, I was basically a broke college kid, and then I learned through everything through Bitcoin. And that people really have to kind of be open-minded. You're going to have to unlearn a lot of stuff because it's totally different. It's a totally different system, but once it clicks, it's going to fully click. And I just want to tell people, just take a little bit of time, look into it, and then of course, don't go all in overnight. You know, you don't have to be like me, but just get a little bit. Basically, just get off zero. And that's all anyone's got to do, and Bitcoin will take care of the rest.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, that's what I talk about all the time on the channels. Educate yourself.
Yeah.
No matter what type of finance you're getting into, you better understand what you're invested in.
Yeah.
So that's great. This is a finance channel, so I have to ask, where do you think Bitcoin's going? When do you think we should sell?
What's the time frame?
Just, I mean, that's the thing. When should people sell?
Well, I mean, I'm a Bitcoiner here, and this is my money. You don't sell the best money in the world for a piece of paper, an IOU. So I'm at the point where I don't need to sell, I don't want to sell, I want to exchange my Bitcoin for goods and services.
Okay.
So that, you know, technically is a sell, but you don't sell for dollars. They can make as many of those as possible. Don't do that, that's dumb advice. Where's it going, dude? It's going up forever. It's going to millions. It's going to a $400 trillion market cap minimum, in my opinion. We're taking over global market capitals. It's our game to eat up.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, G Money, what's up, brother?
What's happening, man?
Excited to hear a little bit about you. So how long have you been in the Bitcoin space for?
Well, I mean, I got started in 2016, but really started putting out content stuff probably 2020, 2021.
Sweet, and what type of content do you do?
So, like, I'm freedom, sovereignty, maxi. Like, we've been under oppression, tyranny for so long, for so many years. And at the heart of it, like, inflation itself is taxation without representation. And so this is much, much bigger than just, you know, hedging inflation or, you know, trying to make a quick buck. Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution, and it's done without any bloodshed, right? And so it's a beautiful new technology given to humans to settle disputes. Not only that, but we can now physically constrain, right, our attackers, right, through money printing and all these other things they're trying to do to us. Like, we can make it very costly for them to do that if they in fact try to steal from us. And so, you know, we just had a panel on Bitcoin is Digital 1776, and we believe that you're not going to really vote your way out of this current, you know, crisis that we're in, and that people have to really kind of take the liberty and take the responsibility to own their own energy. And, you know, the best way to do that is with Bitcoin. And so, yeah, we're here for the revolution, man.
I love it. I love it. It sounds like a strong message. So if there's somebody out there, because, you know, my channel is a little bit more traditional finance, if they're new to Bitcoin or new to even the idea of Bitcoin, what's like the main reason you would say, hey, yeah, you should continue learning about it and even invest in it, buy some?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, you know, people need to start at the root of where it all started. They need to go read The Creature from Jekyll Island. Like, forget all that other stuff, forget the current financial stuff, like, go to your history, go do your own research, right? Figure out why the Federal Reserve was created in the first place, right? And figure out, like, what happened after that. Well, the Federal Reserve and then the IRS, and, you know, we've been just living in this systems upon systems, and then they've been controlling everything through the printing of money. And so when you realize, you know, that the root of the evil actually stems from them being able to control the money, that now you not only have the best, hardest asset ever created because it's scarce, but also that it's built on, military cryptography, and that humans can actually own their own sovereignty, and humans can actually protect themselves in a system to where no small group of people can ever change the rules. And so if you're finance guys, if they want to put a little bit of their money into a system that no politician, no government, right, no military can change the rules of that financial system, then I think, they should be putting some of their money in there, at least to try to understand what it is.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's a bigger idea than just invest in it because the price is going to go up, right? At the end of the day, the question I do get asked though is, how high is it going and when should we sell? So if somebody were asking you that, what would you rate?
I think we don't even really understand what value is because they printed so many dollars. And so the metric of measuring it in dollars itself is kind of fake, right? Because we don't know what that actually is, right? I mean, we don't know how many dollars are in existence. And so, look, we have Trump announcing his treasury, strategic treasury today with his media group.
Yep.
Every day, more and more people are coming on board. And, with a finite asset, eventually, right, something's got to give. And it's not going to basically be forever. And look, it's going to, we could wake up tomorrow and it could be $1 million. That's really this game theory that's playing out. And so don't fuck around and find out, right? Make sure you probably have a little bit as insurance. If anything, Bitcoin should be an insurance policy against the current financial system not being able to sustain itself without printing a lot more money. And so with that fact, your financial guys should literally just own it as an insurance risk from the system not being able to sustain itself without printing a lot more money.
Interesting. And if they were to buy in, would they buy in, full? Say they had $100,000 right now, and they're like, I think I want to get that allocated in the next year or two. Would you dollar cost average it? Would you throw it all in right now? What's the play?
With all the news that's happening right now, I don't see how you could be sitting on a pile of cash and be waiting to see if it's going to dip, right? If it drops to 50,000, but eventually goes to 500,000 or $1 million, you're not going to really care if you bought it at 50K or 100K,
sure,
right? It's not going to make a difference because it's going to $1 million, then it's going to 10 million, and then it's going to 100 million, and it's not going to stop. Literally, it's going up forever. And so if you're trying to time it perfectly, don't. Just get in. It's always going to look overbought. It's always going to look oversold. But if you don't get skin in the game, you're not going to want to understand it. Getting some skin in the game will make you watch it more, will make you follow the news more. And so just get a little bit, man. Just a little bit is all you need to get started and start your journey.
Sweet. G-Money, thank you very much.
Thanks, bro.
All right, Ricky. First question. How long have you been in the Bitcoin space, either investing in it or just been around Bitcoin?
I've been around for a long time. I would say when I first got in, it was just about getting some Bitcoin and the experience of owning it. And then for a while, I kind of lost interest, moved on to other passions and interests. Founded a company. We talk about credit card points and flying around the world in first class. I lived that life for 8 years, right? Flying, traveling, making YouTube videos, making vlogs, seeing all of my dream destinations, and having some pretty cool experiences for me and my wife, my family. But then, 8 years on, it's been kind of enough for just living the life and sipping champagne in first class.
Yeah.
And I recently took a break and I was like, what do I do next? And I came back to Bitcoin. And then I studied it, understood all of its properties, and really went down the rabbit hole. And now I'm interested in experiencing the community and being around Bitcoin people and building the money of the future.
Well, I do run an investing and finance channel, so I have to ask, where do you think Bitcoin's going to go and when should you sell?
Man, I try to pay as little attention to the price as possible, just as a matter of habit, right? I try to reduce my bias towards the dollar as a unit. Now I understand that most people aren't there yet, so it's on a long enough time horizon, if you've done the work, you'll come to a point where you understand that this is going to millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions, quintillions in dollar terms, because they can print endless dollars, and Bitcoin is immutable and fixed at 21 million. And so if you think about the fractions and the math, that's how it plays out over a long enough time horizon.
All right, I like it. You heard it here first. All right, I'm here with my boy Rustin from Simply Bitcoin. Yep. How you doing, man?
Man, doing great. This is just nuts. Wall to wall, Bitcoiners on deck, just delivering the sound money gospel. You can't beat this, man. You get. I mean, I know you're kind of a little from the outside, but the vibe when you come in, camaraderie, it's like a football team you didn't know you were on the whole time.
Yeah, I feel it. How long you been in the space? Just in Bitcoin yourself? Maybe even invested in it?
It's a little like, I would say in a way I learned about what that was going to be and what was going to become by reading In the Fed by Ron Paul in 2008. Didn't discover Bitcoin was the answer to that until 2019. And then when the helicopter money started in 2020, once I looked at it, understood this is a denominator that does not fluctuate. This is a measuring stick that can't be altered, abolished, or tainted. So when you have something that measures that, think about if the base layer of communication of value within your economy is unfuckwithable, then that stuff trickles up into the rest of the economy, or trickles down, however you want to see it. Sound money changes culture, changes economics, it changes everything. And especially in the world we are today, we have fiat wars. It's no coincidence that the century of fiat coincided with a century of total war. That can't happen if you don't have access to print money and fund atrocities, and I think that's one of the biggest things Bitcoin fixes, in my opinion.
Awesome. So if there's someone out there who's like never even like either heard about Bitcoin, or they possibly have, but they're just like, I don't really know. I don't know if they, whatever. What's like the one thing you would tell them? Like, why should they get involved with Bitcoin?
Why do you keep allowing others to live at your expense? Because that's what you're doing when you're operating within a dollar system. And the more life you give to it, the more damage, destruction, the more damage to liberty. I don't think democracy means what it used to mean anymore. And it seems that the democracy we see today is backed by the dollar, and there's a sound money alternative that is a free and open protocol to anyone to take part in, to be able to save money without it being diluted by a state that's siphoning your time and value. And it steals our future. Constantly our future is being depleted to pay for a lot of politicians' malinvestments in the present.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so the people on my channel want to know how far Bitcoin's going to go, and then when do you sell?
I think, all right, so that's kind of an interesting, there is the trope, right? Never sell. But if you never sell Bitcoin and you operate on a dollar system and you're using stable coins, you're still giving life to that system. Bitcoin is a decentralized peer-to-peer electronic cash. It's in the white paper. So I think one thing is getting people to learn more about spending and replacing their Bitcoin, operating it as a checking and savings account, because it works in both ways. And that's just something, we haven't had money that works in that fashion. You had to have gold and a dollar, two proxy systems, and here you get the best of both worlds, but you get the immutability, being able to transfer whenever, wherever, that can't be detracted. We have deep banking going on right now, but then also the absolute scarcity and what that means and how that can help you provide for your future. So it's just saving Bitcoin, I think, is a good approach. Just, my grandma would be like, you always pay yourself first. So I'll say just start taking 5-10% every month, DCA, and let sound money do the work for you.
Awesome. So is there a number that you think that Bitcoin can get to? Like, let's say in 10 years.
In 10 years. I can see 10 million plus. There's no question about that. Absolute scarcity means massive demand. We have Bitcoin treasuries going viral, which is just absolutely insane thinking about Sailor, 2020 to now, and this thing is just becoming the norm. You're either going to adopt it or get left behind. If you're not generating, like a 65% return, you're losing to Bitcoin every year as a company. So you have to learn and adopt to this type of standard. And it's going to be interesting to see how this goes, because there is, some of these guys heavy leverage in the system.
Sure.
And that's the difference of they're a company building their own treasury. Don't buy someone else's Bitcoin. Buy your own Bitcoin. Be your own Bitcoin treasury. Be a sovereign individual.
I love it. Thanks, man.